Hi, I'm Betsy, and this is CAM Matters. Today we are going to answer some questions from readers and listeners. We're going to be talking a little bit about a quorum, Robert's Rules of Order, and fussy neighbors. Come join us.
Welcome to CAM Matters, Condos, Co-ops, HOAs, and beyond. Betsy Barbieux is an informational leader in Florida on community association living, rights, and obligations. She is an expert on the rights and obligations of owners as well as the association. If you live or are planning to live in the state of Florida, there's a good chance you'll be part of a community association. And by the end of this show, you'll know a little bit more about community associations and why they matter.
Hi, welcome to this edition of CAM Matters. I'm Suzanne Lynn with Betsy Barbieux, and just kind of going over why we started doing these shows is just to kind of give more knowledge about community living. And we have been doing several shows, and we had some friends that wrote in, so today's going to be some pretty interesting questions and answers.
Yes.
You ready to dive in?
Yes.
And I'm going to need my glasses for these,
Okay.
so hang on. All right.
And these are just a few, so please write in. We'll be happy to answer some.
Absolutely. All right. So this comes from Bob. And Bob said, I attended a Florida Board of Education course you conducted nearly a year ago. I have a question I hope you can answer. We have had a board of 5 members. At the last board meeting, 2 members resigned from the board. Today, a 3rd member resigned. My question is, can the current board of 2 continue to conduct business and act on matters as there is no longer a quorum? If there are new board members appointed, can it be done by the 2 remaining members, or does it need to come from the association membership? Any guidance you can provide would greatly be appreciated. Thank you for your time, Bob.
Okay. Yes, Bob. The quorum requirement is a majority of the board, and that requirement stays even when you lose board members. So if the number of seats that you normally have are 5 seats, then your quorum for doing business on a board is going to be 3. If you've lost 1 or 2 and now 3, then you are down to 2 board members and you do not have enough to do business. So you do need to appoint at least 1 more board member so that you will have a quorum. And yes, the 2 remaining board members, even if less than a majority, can appoint a 3rd board member.
They got to get a 3rd board member somehow, you know.
And that appointment should be at a properly noticed board meeting, even though it seems a little odd, but you probably should go on in all transparency and post the notice of the board meeting and put on the agenda that you will be appointing a board member. Even though technically 2 is not enough to call the meeting to order. However, according to Robert's Rules of Order and the Florida statutes, you can appoint even if less than a majority.
That means Bob's got to start walking around the neighborhood while people are walking their dogs and recruit somebody quick.
So everybody who's out walking the dog or playing in the yard, go hide because Bob's coming after you.
Okay, let's move into question number 2, and this comes from Sue. Sue is asking, Betsy, if I wanted to purchase Robert's Rules of Order, which would best suit me? I have looked at the 11th edition, the charts, and also Robert's Rules Quick Start book. You're going to have to let us know what Robert's Rules are, first of all.
Okay.
I would like to learn and understand more without being frustrated into the complexity of parliamentary procedure. I think our board can run with just the officers and without a licensed property manager. Would Robert's Rules for Dummies work?
Wow, I should have brought all of my samples of Robert's Rules. I do have Robert's Rules for Dummies.
So there's more than that. Yeah, wow.
Yeah. Let me, and what she just pointed out was Robert's Rules of Order, the big book. The Robert's Rules of Order is a system of parliamentary procedures. It's used by most communities in discussion, debate, making motions, and voting. And I think I showed this to you a long time ago, but it was written in 1876 by General Henry Martin Robert, who is a Huguenot descendant, and I think that's British.
Okay.
So it reads like the King James Bible.
Oh, my goodness.
So it's kind of a lot, and there is actually only one motion in here, Sue, that we need, answering Sue's question. And the beauty of Robert's Rules of Order is the section called Procedure for Small Boards. And these will be the procedures that we'll be using in our board meetings. And I'll give some distinctions here in just a moment. But before I do that, let me say to Sue, Robert's Rules of Order is overkill for our board meetings. And quite frankly, it's overkill for our membership meetings too. We really only need one motion. And if you want to see it in its most formal exhibit, it would be to watch on TV your school board meetings or city council meetings.
Okay.
And watch those on TV and how the formality of those and how they make motions, how they entertain the questions from the citizens or from the participants. And ours will be similar. The only problem with the most formal of Robert's Rules is that some of it is contrary to what is required in statute.
Okay, so which one overrules
Well,
them?
the statute is going to overrule.
Okay.
And the one in particular that I'm thinking of that boards make mistakes all the time is that the president, the chair of the community, who is usually the chair of the board, does make motions, does debate, and does vote. And that's a common misconception for our communities because in the proper, more formal version of Robert's Rules, the chair of an assembly, whoever is meeting, the chair of an assembly is an objective person and doesn't entertain, does not make motions, does not discuss, doesn't debate. But in our Florida Community Association boards, they do.
Okay.
And the Florida statutes require that a vote be recorded in the minutes of each board member present. So with that requirement, then board presidents do vote. They may make motions, they may debate. So yes, they do.
So don't be intimidated.
No. In fact, Sue, I just don't know that I would buy it. I mean, you certainly can, but you need to know how to do the main motion, and you especially need to know the procedures for small boards that in my book are on page 470.
Okay.
But I've got the 10th edition, not the 11th. You can watch some YouTube videos. I have seen some that are not bad. Mm-hmm. Some of them are a little bit long. But quite frankly, if you just watch on TV your local school board or county or city commission meetings, there are 5 chapters in Florida of professional parliamentarians. Yes.
Really?
There is a group.
Hey, there's a that take dad to school day, you know.
There is a group. And there are 5 chapters in Florida. And I am sure that if you contacted the one closest to you, I am sure that they would come and be very happy to help you with some of those procedures.
Because it's important, right?
Mm-hmm. It is important. But one of the descriptions of parliamentary procedure is it is meant to bring decency and decorum to meetings of large groups of people.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah.
And so the main point of Robert's Rules is the decency and decorum. That's the main point. And the Florida statutes do not require you to use Robert's Rules of Order. Your bylaws very likely have a section toward the end, one of the articles that will probably say conduct of meetings or conduct of business, and it will often refer to Robert's Rules of Order, latest edition, or any other form of parliamentary procedure. So it's not law that you use it, but you do want decency and decorum in meetings of large groups of people.
Sure. We've seen that breakdown before, right, in some meetings.
And I think the last part of her question said something about having to have a manager. Is that...
Yeah, she said that. Yeah, I think that she said she doesn't have a manager or something.
There is no law in Florida that requires a community to ever have professional management.
Okay.
A community can be self-managed. And in that would be the board of directors will take on roles of management.
Okay.
And they will do all the work. They will do the budgeting, they will do the spending, they will do the collecting of the monies, they will do all the savings, they will do the violations, they will deal with maintenance, they will deal with the vendors, they will oversee the weekly, monthly, annual projects and things that are going on. So they will have quite a bit of work to do. If they are self-managed. The other option would be to hire a management company to perform management services on some level based on a contract. And then the third option is to hire your own manager who would be an employee. But the hiring an employee would be a contractual relationship. Hiring a management company would be a contractual relationship. And those are board's choices. They do not ever have to hire professional management.
Well, that's good to know. I mean, it sounds like a smart move, a smart thing to do. But
Well, I think that when you start thinking of managing a multi-million-dollar corporation, I'm thinking boards should have professional management.
that sounds like a gift to be given.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, well, we're going to come back because, man, do we have a doozy for a third question. Hang tight.
Are you ready for a new career? Do you have skills or interest in management, real estate, construction, maintenance, accounting, strategic planning, project management, budgets, human resource management, lawn and landscaping, pool services, or any other expertise needed to operate a community association? If you do, community association management could be for you. For more information, feel free to email Betsy at betsy@floridacamschools.com or visit the Florida Cam Schools website at www.floridacamschools.com. Florida Community Association Management continues to grow. Career opportunities abound.
And welcome back to CAM Matters. Suzanne Lynn with Betsy, and we're doing a pretty cool question and answer segment, and we've got our third question, and that came from Joe. My final time with the glasses here. It says, Betsy, I've got a question for you, silly as it may seem. I take it very seriously. There's a couple who lives here who used to be friends of mine. They have become antagonistic and nasty, and our conversations are very uncomfortable. I've told them that I'm willing to talk to them to address any concern, issue, or problem associated with their unit or anything pertaining to our association, but unwilling to engage in any other conversation. They told me that's not good enough. It's a conflict of interest because I represent them, but won't talk to them or acknowledge them, excuse me, when I see them in passing. I'm trying to be professional about this and would like to know if I'm obligated to say hi in passing. I've never had a problem with anyone else here, and the president of our association feels I've done nothing wrong. Please, if you can tell me some insights on this, I appreciate it. Thank you, Joe.
Wow.
Wow. I mean, this is sad.
It is sad.
Friends.
And I don't know where to start on this one because I'm having a flashback here. I actually had a person write in, not because of the show, but because of the articles that I do in the Florida Community Association Journal magazine. But he wrote in and he accused me of making up questions just so I would have something to answer.
Okay.
I do not make up any questions.
Right.
They all come from people who contact me one way or another.
Sure.
And this may seem trivial, but this is not unusual. This is not unusual.
Did you say this is a 55-plus community?
As I recall, Joe came from a 55-plus community, so we're talking about adults.
The couple's not in their early 20s or anything.
No.
This is a squabble
but
like junior high.
This does kind of seem like fifth grade.
Yeah.
Sorry, but
you can see,
but it's serious.
Yeah.
He does not know what to do, and I'm going to first start with, you don't represent them. Remember, we had a segment on the role of the board and what the board's duties are. And the board's duties are to fulfill the mission statement. And I'm going to test you and see if you remember the threefold mission statement. Do you remember? It was to protect the property and its value. Enforce, and maintain. The board represents the documents and is charged with fulfilling the mandates in the documents and the statute. Remember, the board does not serve a constituency. The board does not represent the people, which these neighbors who used to be friends are apparently fussing at him about.
I think a lot of people think that, though. You're representing me up there.
No, not really. You're representing the mandates in the documents and in the statute. So I don't think that Joe has made a wrong decision here to talk with them about community association issues. But it seems kind of fifth grade to say you have to say hi to me when I see you.
Right.
So that's going to be Joe's decision,
Right.
whether he says hi or not.
Okay. Yeah, so that second question was, is he obligated to give an answer to them as they're walking down the street?
See, this is one of those that's tricky, because if he does give an answer to them related to community association business, and this is something that happens to a lot of board members. Owners will stop you on the street, they'll ask you a question about some association business, or they'll ask you, what do you think about me doing this, or what do you think about that? And unfortunately, the answer that the individual board member gives to that owner on the street, the owner on the street is going to take it as an answer coming from the board.
I knew where you were going with that.
From the whole board.
Yeah.
And then they're going to take it and run with it and say, well, Jim said I could do it, which equates to the board said I could do it. And I would really hesitate to answer a question on the street. If you have any level of management at all, refer them to the manager. Refer the question to the manager. Say, you know what? Take that to Betsy. Let her answer that for you. She's on top of it. If you can pass it on to the manager, a lot of what we as managers do, we know that we are the buffer between the board and owners, so that board members can walk the dog and not get stopped every block answering a question. But board members also need to, I don't know, I think sometimes that kind of feeds their ego. When they walk around and people ask them questions kind of like, kind of feeds their kind of feeds their ego, and I kind of like know some behind the scenes stuff, and you're just going to stir stink doing it that way.
That's a good way to say it.
It would be better if you would defer that question to your manager if you have any way possible to do that. Otherwise, the answer, they're going to claim it came from the board.
Betsy, as we start to wrap this up, can you just kind of give Joe some help? What could he say to this neighbor who says, you represent us? What would you say in 3 or 4 sentences to kindly combat that as not being truth?
I'm going to put my behavior specialist hat on, which is what I usually am known for, is helping people deal with difficult people. My advice to Joe is not to engage in conversation about that. He could state one time that he represents the community as a whole. He doesn't have a constituency. He represents the documents. But when people are unwilling to learn, when they ask questions when they really mean to argue, and you know the difference of asking a question to understand and asking a question to argue. When you sense that someone is asking a question to argue, don't bite.
You're not going to win.
You won't win. There's not anything that you can say to them because they're not willing to learn. If they followed that up with, well, tell me why that is, then refer them to CAM Matters and let them watch the videos, because the answer is way too long. But there is a wisdom in knowing when to argue and knowing when to walk away.
Wow. That is profound. That could apply to a lot more than community association
life.
So thank you. And be sure, would you please subscribe, because we don't want you to miss any shows. And if you know someone that's moving into a community association, tell them about the library that's built here. And of course, information about Betsy, we'll put that always how you can contact Betsy. So thank you.
Thank you for listening to CAM Matters. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. For more information, feel free to email Betsy at betsy@floridacamschools.com or visit the Florida Cam Schools website at www.floridacamschools.com. Information provided on this show is general in nature and does not constitute legal advice. Please contact a licensed attorney for your specific situation.